Just 6 days ago, the American Le Mans Series visited Beausport Park in Canada. 2 days of hard rain provided a battle of attrition, an avalanche of spins, and some very hard hits. The #1 Yost Audi crashed out early, but the sun shone on the second Audi. It was the first American Le Mans Series win of the year for Piro and Vila. Now both Audis are ready for action. But a host of other contenders are reloaded and ready to go today at Mid-Ohio. NBC Sports presents the American Le Mans Series. Today, the Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. And welcome to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in Lexington, Ohio. The cars are on the racetrack for the 6th round of the 2001 American Le Mans season, the Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin. Bill Adam is alongside Calvin Fish and Martin Haven on pit road on a gorgeous day for road racing. Air temperature climbing toward 90, track temperature's a little over 100, not a lot of humidity, and we expect no rain. And a huge crowd has turned out to see the American Le Mans Series machines do battle today here on NBC Sports. My colleague Bill Adam had an opportunity to take us for a quick tour around this 2¼ mile layout just earlier this weekend.
Only 2¼ miles in length, but 13 turns are packed onto this track, making it very busy. On the front straight, now the drivers will reach over 140 miles an hour heading up into the fastest corner of this track. This is a very quick left-hander. You barely touch the throttle right about here before leading flat out one more time. Now way up ahead, you've got a good long straight, an excellent spot for passing up ahead because heavy braking leads into one of the tightest corners of the track known as the keyhole. The critical nature here, keep the car in tight and then feed power on as early as you can. It comes onto the straight. You have to carry all the momentum you can to reach over 185 miles an hour down here. Way up ahead, one of the best passing spots, extremely heavy braking into this right-hander, bend the car right into that apex right there, and feed only a little power on because this left-hander goes over the crest of the hill, and watch. Look at that. You see how easy it is to get sideways. Briefly touch the gas, bend in right. We're going to be going left again over the crest of another hill. Another area where the car can get light and get sideways in a heartbeat. One more corner here, this right-hander, the last one over the crest of this hill, and this is known as another straight. Yes, it does bend, but you're going to be over 140 miles an hour, a blind left-hander here. Just briefly on the throttle, and again, heavy braking down into this long 180 to the right. You still can't touch a lot of gas because you're going to go hard left, and this leads you back onto the start-finish straight, a lap at Mid-Ohio.
Tough, challenging for these American Le Mans Series teams. Here's your starting lineup for the Grand Prix at Mid-Ohio. The pole sitter, one of the Audis, the one car alongside the #50. Panos, Brabham, and Magnussen will share that LMP1. Starting in the second row, Frank Vila, Emanuele Piro, last week's winners at Beausport, and alongside, starting in the 4th spot today, it will be the other Audi, the champion privateer machine, Johnny Herbert, and Andy Wallace will share the 38th car. Your 5th starting spot goes to the second Panos, the 51 car. Klaus Graf and Frank Lagorce will share that red machine here today. And lining up 6th, the first of the Cadillacs, Emmanuel Collard and Christophe Tinso in car number 7. They were very strong last week at Beausport. James Weaver, Butch Leitzinger are back, and Rob Dyson's brand new Riley and Scott Ford, the 16 car qualifying 7th here. And starting 8th, the Field family. They're from Dublin, Ohio. Near here, a brand new Lola B2K10 with a Judd motor. And lining up 9th, the last of the 900 prototypes, Taylor and Angela Lee in the 2nd Cadillac. Now your 675 hole sitter in one of the Reynards from the Dick Barber squad, Bruno Lambert, Didier de Radigues, who's the point leader. And the GTS pole sitter, a surprise. The Celine out-qualifies the two Corvettes. The 26 car, Terry Borcheller and Franz Conrad. Interesting story there, which we'll get to in a moment. Sasha Masson and Lucas Luhr have the pole in one of Alex Job's Porsches in GT today, and they will be in the 23 car. Let's show you the rest of the starting lineup as the field gets set to take the green. Claudia Hurtgen and Steve Knight will start 12th. Milka Duno and John Graham. The two Corvettes are 14th and 15th. Then a host of the GT machines that look at the Porsche ahead of the factory BMWs. The first of the Vipers, Shane Lewis, David Donahue, they're 19th. We'll show you the final 7 spots on the grid. Johnson and Cunningham start the 10 car in 22nd. Peter Cunningham driving today for Bill Hauberlin as we get a look at the rest of your starting lineup. We have in-car looks from a host of machines. Frederick Ekblom is the 4th fastest qualifier in GT in one of the Schnitzer BMWs. He lines up 20th on the grid. We'll also take you for a ride today with the GT pole sitters, Sasha Masson and Lucas Luhr in Alex Job's Porsche. They found some extra speed. Up front, David Brabham outside row 1 in the 50 car. He, of course, will team in that machine today with Jan Magnussen. And your pole sitter, Tom Christensen, in car number 1. And Bill Adam, they had a very, very tough weekend last week at Mosport.
They did indeed, and I think they're going to have a real tough start right here because alongside the massive torque and horsepower of the Panos, look at the Audi though. He got a great start. He probably dragged one foot on the brake, bringing that car up to boost as early as possible. Look at Brabham. He is trying to force that other Audi, keep him out of second place. They made it safely through that corner. Critical for them to do that.
Brabham.
Somebody's spinning.
One car is around. It's one of the 675 Dick Barber cars, I believe. That's the 5 car. Lambert and de Radigues has gone around at the end of the front stretch. Actually, it's called the back stretch here, right after the cars take the green flag. Your leader is the Audi, the number 50 Panos in second spot with David Brabham up. And the second factory Audi is third, followed by the champion machine. The Cadillac's in formation, and there's that Celine. And Bill, we were surprised to see the Celine at the top of the GTS qualifying charts.
Really, it's a huge shock. They've had such a good battle all year long with the two Corvettes. And the Corvettes have done a lot of testing here. This is pretty close to their head base, and they've come down here and tested a ton in the rain, a lot in the dry. And I think they maybe thought they had this place pretty well wired. But right from the word go, Franz Conrad, who had never been here before, came out and immediately loved the track. He has been very fast. Oh boy, here's a challenge up the inside. That's a desperation move. It shows you just how badly he wanted to get by. He took very, very late braking, got cleanly by. Now Brabham is just up on the curb. Look at how fast they go through the gears. Just enormous acceleration again, 185, 186 miles an hour right about this point.
Now you see there that the Panos has pretty much been the dominant car the last 2 races at Portland, where they won for the first time in a long time. And also last week at Mosport, they led the most laps with Jan Magnussen in this 50 car. But the Audi was triumphant last week after all the carnage in the wet weather.
It was just one of those incredible races, and we can hardly believe that it really happened. The number 1 car having a crash immediately on lap 1. And then the rebuilding process. Also the 38 car there, right, you see just ahead of the second Panos. That is their champion car. They have both had to put brand new tubs underneath the bodywork this week. And it's such a huge job. It's not just a case of changing suspension pieces over, but little things, air jacks, every single piece of the car, including an entire wiring harness. So both of these crews had just endless work this week.
It's a big job to make that many changes in just a few days, really, because they came out of Canada last Sunday night, ready to get on the track here on Thursday. It gave them a very short window to make those repairs.
And credit to the crews, too. They have done such a good job. You see them both running flawlessly right now. And that's maybe one of the most difficult things, because it's like street cars. You never get 2 Chevys that are the same or 2 anything. Everything is always different. Just tiny degrees, but to a race car, that becomes magnified. Well, when they have to do this, it's so hard for them. Now we're going to see some of the telemetry. Watch the G loadings, particularly on this track. We go up over the crest of this hill. The car gets very light here. Already 1.7 G you saw. Downhill briefly off the throttle, feeding power in. Now watch it spike. We're going to get a little bit of a right there. Look at that, over 2 Gs coming down. Again, 2 Gs being shown. Just enormous cornering power in these cars. The acceleration graph too. There we go, 130, 145 miles an hour, almost 150 along that.
Quick stab on the brake going in there.
This is just the greatest. I love watching the telemetry. It gives you an appreciation of just how fast these cars are, how quickly they can both accelerate and decelerate. Almost beyond comprehension. 150 miles an hour. There's turn 1. You see going through at 110, and then look at the acceleration from 110. That's a jet. That is just a rocket.
Almost 160 to the keyhole there. So Christensen out of the keyhole with a big lead, 2.6 seconds. The one car trying to perhaps make amends for their tough start and crashing out last week at Mosport. They've got a big lead. Pirro in the 2 car, last week's winner, is second. David Brabham is third. We'll be back with more from Mid-Ohio as we show you the top 5. NBC Sports coverage of the American Le Mans Series Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio is being brought to you by Audi.
I remember 20 years ago, Audi turned the racing world upside down. First by introducing a race car with quattro all-wheel drive, and second by having a woman drive it.
What is it about Le Mans that has made men love it for over 50 years? Maybe it's the big, beautiful eyes or the sexy voice that it speaks in. It could be all those incredible bodies. Of course, there are other attractions. Find out for yourself. As the Audi Petit Le Mans comes to Road Atlanta, October 3rd through the 6th, call 1-800-849-RACE.
Welcome back to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, Lexington, Ohio. Huge crowd on hand today for the first ever visit of the American Le Mans Series to the Midwest. First trip here to this racetrack, and the fans have turned out in droves. They're watching Tom Christensen in car number 1, the Yost Audi with the yellow trim, leading. He jumped off from the pole. He has been the dominant car by far. The second car, the number 2 machine, Emanuele Pirro. He and Biela, of course, won last week at Mosport Park. Got the second spot in the first lap. Got around David Brabham. Those 2 cars Biela just driven off. The Panos machines can't seem to run with it.
And I think it's surprising the Panos guys as well, because they really fully expected David Brabham to take a shot at him right off the bat. Maybe use some of the torque and the horsepower of that big V8 engine in the Panos and jump ahead. They didn't get that lucky, and the rate that they're leaving is very much of a shock.
So we'll see as things play out, of course, over the next couple of hours. Pit stops could shuffle the order, and the Panos team, they'll be trying to find some speed. GTS may be the greatest story of the day, the biggest story, and the most interesting race battle. And Martin Haven, a surprise certainly in qualifying, and it's been that way so far since the green flag came out.
Well, yes, it has, because the might of the factory Chevy Corvette team has been surpassed by a small manufacturer from California. Steve Saline's SR7 led the class by 1.4 seconds, 1.4 seconds after qualifying, and they're leading the race right now. The car that was chasing best, Ron Fellows in the 3 car, has now dropped over 4 seconds behind the class leader in GTS. He's been passed by his teammate Andy Pilgrim, and the 4 Corvette is the one doing the chasing. Now, this may come down to setup and the way that the cars are run, because the drivers of the 3 car certainly believe that as the weather gets warmer this afternoon, the track will tend to push. So they've set their car up loose at the beginning of the race. Now, whether that pans out or not, only time will tell. There's a fierce battle in GTS, though, make no mistake, with the pressure of GM's home track. Everybody down from the Pratt & Miller shop, and it's just as fierce in GT. Calvin Fish has more.
Absolutely, Martin. The battle rages on the track right now. It has been going that way all season long. In fact, we have 5 drivers separated by just 1 point in the championship currently, with Jörg Müller and Sascha Maassen tied at the top of the charts. But the teams are now really starting to work together. Certainly in qualifying yesterday, we saw that. The McKenna Porsche teammates, Randy Post went out. He said the car was extremely loose. Before Sascha Maassen even left pit lane, they made an adjustment to the car, good enough to put that Porsche on the pole. That was a surprise. We expected this to be a BMW track, and JJ Later has immediately gone to the front of the pack.
Watching the field come down the front straightaway, there's one of the McKenna Alex Joe Porsches. As we watch the GT battle, the 23 car, Sascha Maassen on the pole with that machine. We jump inside with Frederick Ekblom in one of the Schnitzer cars. Take a look at your BMW GT class points. Maassen and Mueller at the top, just a point keeping them from Lucas Lauren, Boris Set, and JJ Leto, who are tied for second.
You really want a close battle for points? Well, it just doesn't get any better than that. Look at that, 3 points from the top 6. This is so competitive. In fact, look at the BMW right there. You just saw it sneaking by one of the Porsches. Now this is an excellent, excellent drafting opportunity right here, but I doubt if they'll take it.
Maassen.
Champion up the inside. Not quite. And that is James Weaver, I believe, in the Dyson car right behind the champion car. They're having a good run with that Riley and Scott.
The two white-colored prototypes that you see there trailing the red Panos in front of some of the GT machines. On board, Sasha Maassen's car. The GT leader, GT pole sitter. He's actually second now in the GT battle. Leto in the 42 has gotten by him. Maassen in second. Then Hans Stuck driving the 6 for Tom Milner's BMW group. And Ekblom in the 43. Those 4 cars. Randy Popes is next in line, and Nicholas Janssen in the 10. So you've got 6 of the GT contenders pretty much nose to tail on the racetrack.
I think I'm as surprised as anything this weekend about how competitive these cars are. The mechanic cars have run fast from the first time they hit the track. And we stood in pit lane actually at one point and watched, and they were entering this turn 1 right up ahead here. So fast and so stable. Really looks like Alex Job and the guys have done a good job on them, because they've shocked the BMW guys so far.
Talked to Randy Popes last night and tried to find out what they had found in these race cars when they came to Mid-Ohio. Of course, he's got a lot of experience everywhere, and Christian Menzel, who will partner in that other Alex Job racing car from McKenna Porsche, they've never been here before.
He wouldn't tell you where they hid the turbo, right?
Would not let on at all.
Kept that one secret.
Whether it's trick tires, we don't know.
No, I think they're both driving extremely well. This is a track that, as you can see, both from watching the external views like this, what are in car, it's a track that really has a great flow. If you're a good, smooth driver, you can just whale around this track. It's such a driver track.
Watching the battle for 5th spot here, the 38 car, the champion Audi. That's being driven now by Andy Wallace, his countryman James Weaver from Great Britain right behind him, and Rob Dyson's Thetford Norcold Riley and Scott, the new generation Riley and Scott machine that they've been working with for almost a year now. Brought the car to Mosport last week. It was very fast there, Bill.
It was, and I think right now the champion car is something of a disappointment today, that you can see the Panos up ahead. The red car is just disappearing, so he has been able to pull away, get a couple-second gap. There he is lapping the Corvette.
That's Klaus Graf in the 51, who sits 4th right now. Wallace is 5th.
I think that Wallace really is just got his hands full. Now, this morning in warm-up, it was kind of a surprise. They ran very, very fast times yesterday in qualifying, but this morning in warm-up, I know they got out of it saying it just wasn't right.
Now, last Sunday, if you were with us at Mosport Park, you know it was a day of carnage because of the wet conditions. The 38 and the 1 both crashing hard. Damage to the tubs of both cars, Bill. It was a busy week, as we mentioned.
And I think damage to the wallets.
Just a look at some of the work that had to be done to these machines to get them race ready for Mid-Ohio this weekend. And you're up in front now. Tom Christensen in car number 1 from the pole, sifting through traffic, coming to the front straightaway. When they dropped the green, we didn't really explain, if you've never been to Mid-Ohio or seen a race here before, start-finish is on pit road, as you would expect. But because of the high speeds here, the green flag is normally waved from what's considered the backstretch after the keyhole corner, which is coming up right now as we watch Christensen down toward that keyhole. Let's find out more about the Audi situation, all those repairs and so forth that were done. Calvin Fish, the team certainly did a lot of work this week to get these cars ready, and it's certainly paying off.
They really did. After the crash at Mosport, they actually had to fly a monocoque in from Europe. They received the car on Tuesday, went to work, and the car was completely rebuilt by Wednesday night. Tom Christensen said with the minimal track time, they've only had about 45 minutes of dry track time prior to qualifying. They were very conservative with their tire choice. They thought there was a softer and potentially faster tire, but they decided to play safe, go with a harder tire, and conservative for those boys must be leaving the pack by about a second per lap. Let's go down to Martin on the Panos story.
Well, Panos still at a loss to understand what the problem is. David Brabham, incidentally, a couple of laps ago, did get by a car under a yellow flag, the local caution for the 57 Dick Barber car, which has pulled off at the side of the racetrack with a dead engine. But he gave the place back. He's hit traffic, and that slowed him right down again. The best explanation the Michelin tire engineers can come up with is that he just wasn't quite happy with the balance of the front end of the car. Incidentally, the champion team haven't heard much from Andy Wallace either, so I don't expect that he's reported in a problem. They have just been trying to adjust themselves to this brand new chassis, which was a show car last Sunday morning and is a race car this Saturday.
Well, I could maybe add one more thing to that, Martin, that last week I saw something that I thought was virtually impossible, in that Tom Christensen made a huge mistake driving that Audi. Crashed it badly, and of course created all that work for his crew. Now, that can have two effects on a driver. It can either shake up a driver's confidence, where the following race is one that he really doesn't do very well in. He has to reestablish the confidence. or the driver simply gets so angry at himself that he focuses and becomes that much more intense. I think the latter case is what's happened with Tom Christensen, because he is lapping within a second of his qualifying time, even going through all this traffic, whereas BRABHAM is 2, 3, and sometimes 4 seconds a lap slower. So Christensen simply is on fire right now.
We put 15 laps on the board. The fuel load's starting to lighten a little in these cars. Christensen set his quick lap of the afternoon the last time around at 1:15.5. So Christensen has a 6-second lead over his teammate Emanuele Pirro. Let's show you the top 5. Pirro is second, then BRABHAM, Klaus Graf, and James Weaver. And we are at Mid-Ohio for the Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio, of course, here on NBC Sports. Yeah, there are a lot of ways to achieve driving stardom, one of which is to race in Star Mazda. Huge fields with close competitive finishes have been the story in the series' first 5 races. Scott Bradley won this photo finish over Matt Beardsley at Texas. He leads the current point standings. Chad Block was the winner at historic Sebring in round 2 on the year, and he stands second now in points. And at Sears Point, California, the 11 of Oliver Rowan led the whole way until he was passed on the final turn of the last lap by Scott Jenkins. Now, Jenkins almost won the next race in Portland, but he was penalized 1 spot for brake checking the competition. That enabled Canadian Mark DeVellis to take the victory. The 5th and most recent round of the series came last week at Beausport, and Rowan finally earned the win. 5 races, 5 different winners this year in the Star Mazda North American Championship Series.
Now this same feeling is available in a car.
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Introducing the all-new Mazda Protege 5.
Yeah, zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Yeah.
Same feeling.
Zoom, zoom.
New form.
Yeah, zoom, zoom, zoom. Yeah, zoom, zoom, zoom. Yeah.
Chateau Elan Hotels and Resorts, the subtle difference of excellence.
The world's top adventure athletes test their limits in the Subaru Gorge Games. Coverage begins Sunday at 12:30 Eastern on NBC.
Their excellence will be tested as the WNBA's elite teams battle for the league's ultimate prize. On the road to the championship, Sunday on NBC.
Back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course on NBC Sports. You'll want to stay with us because coming up next, NBC brings you exclusive coverage of the semifinal matches, the 101st U.S. Amateur Championship from the East Lake Golf Club. These are the world's top amateur players. They've been narrowed down. The field has to just 4. And the question now is who will walk in the footsteps of past champions like Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus, and of course Tiger Woods. Coverage of the semifinal matches of the 101st U.S. Amateur next up here on NBC Sports. Your overall leader, Tom Christensen, the pole sitter, and the Audi R8 in car number 1, Christensen, with a lap of 1:15.4 last time out. Bill Adam, he's quicker and quicker.
He's just amazing right now. I really think this is part anger and part embarrassment about making that mistake last weekend at Beausport and causing the big crash, because he is just surgically knifing his way around the track. It is so difficult to get a really quick lap here at the track. You have to concentrate so hard and be so precise in so many different varying situations. He's doing this speed through traffic.
Didier de Radigues has been concentrating mightily too in car number 5. They are leading in the 675 prototype category, the lighter weight cars. And this is interesting, especially because de Radigues spun this car shortly after the drop of the green.
Well, I'd see coming down to the end of the straight, the back of the car just got loose. The rubber being left mostly off the rear tires. He was probably underpowered. And this is the end of the number 57 car. This is a sister car, the John Graham Milcaduna car. That
engine
like
let go,
suffered
evidently,
terminal engine problems.
But de Radigues and Bruno Lambert will jump in this car later. Very quick. They're leading the 675 category, 9th overall now. Not very far behind Wayne Taylor in the Cadillac, who's running 8th. So a super strong run for de Radigues, and Lambert is very quick in his own right. They're leading Claudia Hurtgen in the Rook Nighthawk car for the top honors in the 675 prototypes. Now, this is a brand new category this year in American Le Mans competition. Earlier this week, we sent our Calvin Fish to the garage area to take a closer look at these machines that are extremely strong.
And that is the LMP 675 category. Now, still in its infancy, it really has enormous potential. And one of the biggest names in the series, Dick Barber Racing, has made the commitment to this class for the year 2001, coming off their championship-winning season in GT. The Barber cars are essentially trimmed-down versions of Stefan Johansson's LMP 900 Reynard, campaigned last year. They are fitted with a 3.4-litre V8 Judd, producing over 500 horsepower, which is only about 100 shy of the bigger prototypes. The chassis is currently quite a bit over the weight limit, coming in close to 800 kilos. There is a new car on the drawing board, which should bring the car right down to the weight limit, whilst the season thus far has produced 4 wins and the lead in the championship for their #1 driver, Didier de Radigas. Milka Duno has also been progressing very well in her first season of prototype racing, having won at Portland and Sears Point to position herself second in points. Now, many pundits up and down pit lane are watching this program with interest to see how it develops over the next few months. With its lightweight chassis, engine configuration which gives a great fuel mileage, and the fact that the lightweight chassis is very easy on tyre wear, it's not inconceivable that one of these LMP 675 cars on certain circuits could challenge for an outright victory next season. Certainly the MG team made its mark at Le Mans this year when it challenged the leaders in the early going. The smiles we've seen this year from Dick Barber and Milka Duno could be even wider next year if they could challenge the big boys.
Very strong race team. Of course, they field a GT Porsche as well. But as we mentioned, a short day for the other car. Milka Duno, John Graham, very strong contenders in the 675 points. Engine problems early on.
Yeah, it's so disappointing. They're looking forward to another finish. Last week at Beausport, they followed up their teammate with a second place. Really good run for John and Milka, but not today, I'm afraid.
The 5 car, though, continues to lead. 9th overall, de Radigas. And in GTS, this has been a wonderful battle so far in the early going. One of the Panos is moving by the Celine, Franz Conrad and Terry Borchler. Borchler starting the car out of Phoenix, former high school quarterback. Borchler, one of the great sedan racers in this country, doing a wonderful job today. He's out in front of Andy Pilgrim in the Corvette by just about a second and a half, maybe 2 seconds. There's Andy, trying hard to close in on the 26. I'm surprised, Bill, that so far the Corvettes haven't shown much strength.
Well, and the other surprise to me, quite honestly, is that this car is not running away after seeing a second and a half gap in qualifying. Now, Terry did come over just before the start of the race. In fact, it looks right now that Andy's actually closing up a little bit, but Terry Borchler came over before the start of the race and said the car owner had, after warm-up, completely changed the car. He wanted different shock settings, different spring settings, different sway bar. Both Terry and the engineer tried to talk about it doing this, but he was intent on doing it, so they really started the race not knowing what this car is going to be like. And based on their lap times, they're lapping a couple of seconds slower than their qualifying time. The lead Audi, by comparison, is lapping within a second. So we know the track conditions must be good. I don't think Terry's very happy with the car setup.
But they are still very quick, leading GTS about 2 seconds ahead of Andy Pilgrim. And the 3 car, normally the lead car in the Corvette GTS team, Ron Fellows starting that car. Well, they're 8 seconds further back. They're 13th overall, 3rd in GTS. And they will be trying, no doubt, to adjust that race car when Fellows brings it down pit road for the first of what will most likely be 2 stops. Here comes Fellows down the front straightaway, hard on the gas, but the car not handling nearly as well as they would like to. Calvin Fish on pit road. Let's get an update. Martin Haven is there too. Martin's in the Corvette pit area.
That's right. Unfortunately, as we alluded to at the top of the show, Ron Fellows hasn't just simply left his talent in the hotel room. What they've done is they tried to loosen up the Corvette based on the fact that as Mid-Ohio's temperatures soar, grip goes away and the cars start to push. It looks like they've gone a little too far. Johnny, looks like the car is just too loose. How are you going to combat that in the race?
Well, you know, it was kind of a guess which way the track was going to go after this morning's warm-up. We were assuming that we'd get more understeer in the car, and so we did a lot of things to loosen it up, give us oversteer, and it looks like we might have gone over the edge. You know, Ron's doing a super job holding on to it because right now it's a difficult car to drive. In this stop, if we got time, we'll do a bar change, but really that adds even more time to it. It's not cockpit adjustable, so if we get the luxury of a yellow, then we can do some things to change the car. But if it stays green, we're just going to have to tough it out. You know, you got to say Andy's doing a great job keeping the Celine honest. So luckily one Corvette's running real strong, and you know, hopefully one of the 2 of us are going to be able to bring it home.
Well, we certainly hope so. So do the Pratt & Miller folks. Everybody who knows anybody at Pratt & Miller has been a friend this week. They've all come down for the race, so there's a lot of support for the yellow cars.
Watching those machines battle. Pilgrim there right behind the Celine. That's Pilgrim in the number 4 Goodwrench Corvette. Terry Borcheller in the 26 car. Franz Conrad's Celine machine. Great battle in GTS. And probably the best run we've seen this season from the Celine.
I think so too. It's such a gorgeous car. This just really has come out of the box, and from word one is one of the most beautiful cars. Boy, did he get loose there under
Yeah, wiggle big time.
That is the first time we've seen this car do anything ugly to a driver at all. But look what it now has done. The Corvette is right up on the tail. So I think Borcheller has really got his hands full.
Tires, of course, perhaps starting to go away. Coming up 30 laps in here in just a moment.
Yeah.
Eddie Wallace moving by in the 38 there. Wallace sitting 6th. Christensen, meantime, with a 13-second lead in car number 1 over his teammate, Emanuele Pirro. As we show you the category leaders, you're watching the American Le Mans Series on NBC Sports. We'll be back.
How can you keep track of the latest in sports car racing? Monthly, with Le Mans and Sports Car Racer magazine. New from the publishers of F1 Racing and Autosport. Call 1-800-800-3921 to subscribe. It's the fastest way to keep track. Insightful columns, exclusive interviews, dazzling photography. Every month in Le Mans and Sports Car Racer magazine. New from the publishers of F1 Racing and Autosport. Call 1-800-800-3921 to subscribe. It's the fastest way to keep track.
For Bobby Jones, Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, and Tiger Woods, it was a springboard to fame. Who will follow the U.S. Amateur Championship next on NBC?
The Gravity Games, returning to NBC this fall.
Back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course on NBC Sports, the Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. Tom Christensen is out in front in the 1 car, one of the Audi R8s. Emanuele Pirro is second in the Deuce. They won last week. Brabham and Graf next in line. The two Panos is 3rd and 4th. James Weaver with Butch Leitzinger today for Rob Dyson's team. They are running a very strong 5th, Bill Adam. Your leader, Tom Christensen, takes us for a ride down the backstretch here, sifting through traffic. He hasn't put a wheel wrong all afternoon.
He hasn't yet. He has to be so careful right here. He's putting another lap on the Cadillacs. How frustrating this is for the Caddy guys. They had such a great run up at Mosport. They finished a strong 3rd and 4th place, and it's got to be a bit disheartening when they come to a track like this. Admittedly, it is about as far away from Mosport as you can get. Mosport having these ultra high speed sweeping corners, and Mid-Ohio is all low to medium speed over the crests of hills. Just a completely different setup, but it's baffled the guys.
Obviously, the Cadillacs just don't care for the course here nearly as much as what they were up against last week. Christensen trying to work his way by. Show you what the situation is in GTS. Now, Andy Pilgrim has taken over the lead in the yellow Corvette there in car number 4. Franz Conrad's Celine next in line as they work tough traffic down the backstretch into the kink. Pilgrim leads by just over half a second. He got the lead just a few laps ago after a long battle with Conrad's machine. Let's take a look at how the pass was made. This was down the backstretch, too.
A pair of 7-liter monsters flying down the straight, and Andy just simply pulled to the inside. Very, very late braking. You saw how cleanly it was done. The car didn't wiggle or squiggle or leave a trace of smoke off the tires. Textbook pass.
Down under one of the bridges here at Mid-Ohio. Heavy traffic. 28 cars took the green on only a 2.25 mile racetrack, so you're always in traffic.
Oh,
but you're not. Conrad gets loose in the corner and gives up a lot of ground.
Great job on recovering there by Franz Conrad. He really got loose. That is at the end of that long, quick, it's a very sweeping, again, it's a misnomer to call it a straight, but it is so fast down through there. Franz did a really good job gathering that up. If he had let that thing get away, well, there's a guardrail just waiting at lunch.
It's back inside one of Tom Milner's BMWs, back on the power. He'll move by, getting the hand signal from one of the American Viper Racing Dodges as he heads to the keyhole.
The Dodge is a bit of a disappointment. David Donahue driving for them. And He said that unfortunately the team owner really doesn't have a full-fledged, full-time pro crew yet. So it's so tough. These cars require constant maintenance, and it's just an endless case of refinement. Well, if you have different people working on them every week, you can't expect to be competitive, particularly with teams like this.
Sure.
The Corvette team, when they come down here and do all of the testing that they do, and the Celine, what a tremendous car that is. So for the Vipers to catch up, they have got a lot of work ahead of them.
Get a little look at what the performance is of the number 4 Corvette now with Andy Pilgrim at the saddle.
These are very, very polished race cars. They worked so hard on these things, and last year we saw them come to a... they came from no place. It has built this car up into a terrific race machine. Remember, they had that battle up at Mosport last year. They barely lost out to Carl Wendlinger in the Viper.
And that's what you get when you've developed a car for over 3 seasons.
That's exactly it. They have spent the time, and now they've got real good, strong race cars.
So Pilgrim in the 4, the Good Wrench Corvette, leads the GTS category. Conrad runs in second spot. Ron Fellows in the 3 car is third. But let's check in on the GT battle. JJ Leto in the 42, one of the Schnitzer BMWs, leads the pack right now, 14th overall. They did not put one of these BMW V8 machines on the pole, which was a surprise.
Very much a surprise. I really thought they would come here and dominate because the cars are so good. Now there's the Dyson car coming into the pits. James Weaver obviously getting out. Butch Leitzinger you're going to see standing at the side. He will get in.
Early fuel stop, and remember, as we've told you under American Le Mans Series rules, you cannot fuel and change tires at the same time as you can in NASCAR or in Indy cars. So these stops do take a little longer. James helping Butch buckle in.
I went over and talked to Butch Leitzinger this weekend and said, you know, I gave you my bravery award last week for that pass down the outside of 2, and he said, yeah, but I sure made a fool of myself at Moss Corner the same lap, didn't I? So he was laughing about it.
And this is very much a work in progress for the Dyson team. This new Riley and Scott chassis, they've had it for not quite a year, and they've tested extensively, deciding to come and run at Mosport and here this weekend to help develop the car.
You see it go up on air jacks now, so they have obviously made the decision to change tires. Let's see if they do all 4. We've got the right rear off. I didn't see if the left rear come off, but now, yeah, they are going to do a 4-tire stop. And Panos is in. Let's see now what they do.
The 50 car, David Brabham brings that car in. Martin Heyman.
Well, we are going to be talking a lot about tyres in this race. I think they may well hold the key to altering the performance. Donnie Wilson, the Michelin tyre engineer, is down checking the temperatures around David Brabham's car. Brabham is intent on staying in and doing the best job he can here, but there are tyres ready. Wilson has already set different tyre temperatures and pressures on the tyres in case Brabham wants to change, but it looks as though David is content to go with what he's got and try and give it a better second stint.
Fuel back in the race car, engine refires. Brabham is off pit road, gives up 3rd spot with that stop. Weaver and Leitzinger were running 5th. They're back on the racetrack now. Here's Andy Wallace, the 38 machine. Looks as though he's made a little contact. We understand maybe he clipped the Celine on the way by. One of the little canard wings on the left front fender there flapping in the breeze.
That is exactly. Now, that's not going to change the handling all that much. He will lose a little bit of front downforce. So many times we've seen the Audis hit things, and it just doesn't affect the car. They are so strong.
We've got another look at it here. Let's see what happened between Wallace and Franz Conrad to the inside of the keyhole.
Wow.
Heavy contact there.
Holy man, that really was heavy contact. Andy Wallace doing an absolute miracle keeping control of that car.
Now, a lot of times you'll see that, Bill, in a pass to the inside going into the corner there. The driver on the outside may come down. I'm not sure Wallace had position there.
No, I don't either. And I'm really kind of surprised that Franz Conrad should have had a pretty good idea what he was doing. That even though Franz does sit on the left side of the car, this is like an American car, he still could see where the Audi was going to as he was making his turn out of both his side mirrors. So
Wallace still rides in 4th spot overall, gaining a position with David Brabham coming onto pit road. Your overall leader continues to be Christensen. He has put 13 seconds on the field. Radagast leads the Porsche, the prototype 675s. Now let's take a look back at some of the motorsports history of the Porsche marque. The smart money was on Porsche, and more specifically on the factory 956s at Le Mans in 1983, and with good reason. 2-time defending champions Jackie Ickx and Derek Bell were paired up again. They were on the pole. Ickx immediately jumped out in front, but on lap 2 he tangled with Jan Lammers on the Mulsanne straight, forcing a 10-minute pit stop for repairs. The number 3 works 9:56 at Haywood. Holbert and Chupan assumed the lead, while the two Andretti's and Philippe Ayo were close behind in their Creamer 9:56. By midnight, the top 10 was all Porsche 9:56. Ickx and Bell had fought back to second. But with a 2-lap lead Sunday, Chupan, Holbert, and Haywood had to survive a blown-off door and near-fatal cooling problems. They were able to hold off a charging Derek Bell and taste victory at Le Mans. It was one of Porsche's finest moments as the 956 earned 9 of the top 10 spots in the final rundown.
Dad, I missed the bus.
Really?
The 911 Carrera, what only a Porsche brings to driving.
Thanks, Dad. Dad.
You want to race? Or just drive like you've never driven before? We've got the cars. We've got the tracks. We've got one cool school.
The Pay-Nose Racing School at Road Atlanta, Sebring, Texas Motor Speedway, and Mossport International Raceway. 1-888-282-GTRA.
This is one cool school.
Back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course here on NBC. Rick Benjamin with Bill Adam. And a reminder, 2 weeks from tomorrow, we journey west for the Monterey Sports Car Championships presented by Mazda. The American Le Mans Series back here on NBC on Sunday, September the 9th. Don't miss the show. It'll be a great one. Laguna Seca Raceway. We're looking forward to going out there for the Monterey Sports Car Championships. You'll have a busy weekend out there, Bill.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be back dating one of my old girlfriends, one of my old Jaguar race cars.
Diane won't like hearing that.
Yeah, no, not too much. But to get back in that car for a vintage GTP race will be a lot of fun. And then we get to watch these guys do it all again. And what a beautiful spot to watch the world's most beautiful sports cars.
I'm looking forward to joining you there for the first time. Here's your top 5. Christensen and Capello and one of the Audis, Biela and Pirro and the other Audi. They have dominated here so far today. But meantime, your GT lead cars have come onto pit road. One of the cars that's been running up front, Sasha Maassen in the 23 on pit road to Calvin Fish.
Well, they went about a lap longer than the BMWs, Rick, and that's very important. Both teams have now gone beyond that halfway point, which means they will be doing this on one stop only. Sasha Maassen took the lead really on the shuffling pit stops with the BMWs slightly earlier. Good pit stop for Joe's team, but we expect them to relinquish the lead once they get onto the pit straightaway here with the BMWs on track already.
So the Alex Joe Porsche is down and away. Now the Schnitzer BMWs, J.J. Leto is leading the category. Yeah, both those cars have been in. They've done their driver change. Lucas Luhr now in the 23 car.
Exactly right. That's the only reason that car did have the lead. It wasn't as if they snuck by and made this brilliant pass. So don't think that you missed anything, folks. It was only the BMW stopped first. The Porsche kept going and thereby was the leader when they came in the pits. So he really has to try and work hard now. Now, Alex Job was saying that they thought they might have a shot if they could double stint their tires, but as you saw, they did change them. So I don't know. It's going to be touch and go.
It is a hot day here, warm in many of these race cars, certainly. Sasha Maassen getting some cold towels on the back of his neck. What does that do for you as a driver, Bill Adam?
It's really just almost a psychological relief. It's not particularly good for you to get the cold towel on your back because it stops the body giving off heat. And we learned this years ago of Dennis Carlson, a man who produced these cool suits. We're looking at double yellow flag there. That's a full course yellow. So
first one of the day.
Isn't that amazing? I didn't think that would take place. But to get back to the cooling idea, we learned that there's the car. That's why we're stopped. That's stuck in a gravel trap. It's in a dangerous position.
Phil Collin in that GT Porsche, the 52 car, out on the racetrack at a precarious spot. So the caution is out all around Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Let's take a look here. Down through the right-hander.
Everything looks
back into the S's.
Now he's coming over the crest.
He's offline.
Oh boy,
way offline.
You know what? I think he tried to take a look in his mirror just to see what was going on and probably lost his concentration moment. Realized he was in big trouble. Probably did the smartest thing by getting on the brakes rather than trying to yank the car out of the corner.
So Collins spins to 52, and the safety car will be out for the first time today, and this will bunch the field up behind the number 1 and 2 Audis that have been at the head of the class all afternoon so far. And car number 1, Tom Christensen, working in that machine. Dindo Capello there too. They have dominated the show here today. Great turnout of fans on hand at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for the return of big bore sports car racing to this historic racetrack in its 40th year. And that was really the idea behind the formation of the ALMS.
Don Paynos was formulating the American Le Mans Series idea. Bringing Le Mans to America just wasn't enough for him. He wanted the fans to be as involved in his series as the teams and the drivers are in most others. And that's encapsulated with this three-word slogan, for the fans. Not for this championship, high wire fences separating fans from race cars. The paddock is open all weekend. You can see, you can touch, you can smell the machinery. Not for this series, drivers that run straight from car to motor coach. In this series, they meet the fans, they shake their hands, they sign the autographs. Can't get to the racetrack? No matter, full network TV coverage. Can't get to a TV, don't live in the States? You can still follow this series live, courtesy of the American Le Mans Series radio web, with live timing and scoring for the full picture. And to add to it all, there's even a series magazine. Catch up with the heroes and the stars month by month. Like he said, the American Le Mans Series is truly for the fans.
And they have responded in droves here this weekend again at Mid-Ohio. Huge turnout at Mosport last week, Bill, and great throng of fans here to see these ALMS machines in action for the first time ever at the Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. Now next year, about 11 months away, a brand new event comes to the American Le Mans Series, the National Grand Prix. It'll be in Washington, D.C. near RFK Stadium. It's July 21st next summer. And if you'd like to find out more, find out about tickets, dial toll-free 888-456-8448 or check out their website, nationalgrandprix.com. So the field under caution, full course for the first time as the safety crews go to work to try to pick the 52 car and bring it back to pit road, get them ready to return. And here comes your leader, the number 1, Christensen, on pit road. Calvin Fish is there.
Taking advantage of this caution period to bring the Audi in. There's going to be a driver change and, of course, tyres. Tom has done a stint and a half effectively. We're really about right at halfway in this race right now. So Dindo's going to be getting in, and we talked about the fact that Tom was maybe trying to prove a point here after the mistakes at Mosport, but certainly Dindo has one to prove as well. He's had minimal seat time this week. Tom did all of the practice and qualifying sessions, so it's been a tough weekend for Dindo. He's waving at Tom right now. There may be something wrong there. Tom is jumping back in. Looked like a routine change. Fueling has been done, and a bit of a problem there with the seatbelts, I think, but he gets a tap on the head from Tom. Everything looks okay. Let's go down to Martin.
Driver and tyre changes for the third place car on the racetrack, the 50 Paynos. David Brabham has jumped out. Jan Magnussen in for the final stint with fresh tyres on the rear of the car as well as the front, but you can see how tight this pit lane is. They're having trouble getting past the sister 51 car, which is in front. They couldn't pull up close enough to the pit wall because they can't swing in tight across the front of the 50 car, which was already stationary. So one blocks the other, and the other blocks the first. It's tough down here.
So the prototypes coming off pit road. The number 50 Paynos off pit road first, with the driver changes being made. Here comes the number 1 Audi.
This could be a lot of fun now, because I've been watching the lap board here just as the race goes on. As the Audis were initially just running off and hiding, the Paynos suddenly started coming into its own, and they really have been running lap times that in many cases are quicker than the leading Audi. They're suddenly running back in the range of 115, 116. The Audis, even the Christensen car, was the high 116, so let's hope.
Still about an hour 10 to go as the drivers try to cool off here at Mid-Ohio. We'll be back with more of the American Le Mans Series Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio after these words from our local stations.
3 pairs of strangers are lost somewhere on the earth in a race to find their way home.
We're definitely quite the team, huh? We even fit together when we sleep.
But in the middle of nowhere,
Dan has a thing for really dirty girls.
no one can predict what will happen. Lost premieres 1 week from Wednesday on NBC.
Back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course here on NBC, the Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio today for the American Le Mans Series. I'm Rick Benjamin, Bill Adams alongside. Calvin Fish, Martin Haven on pit road. When we left you, we were under caution, and we're under caution again, coming to a restart this time but there's been a lot of changing, Bill Adam. Many of these teams electing to come to pit road for probably their final stop of the afternoon.
Well, this is one caution that I really enjoyed seeing because it really has closed up this field tremendously, and it actually has put the lead into jeopardy. Now watch, coming out of the start-finish straight, you see that Lola gets sideways and then tags the wall hard. This obviously required a pace car coming out because the car is sitting on a totally blind corner. That could easily have been T-boned by somebody else coming out. Now, all of the pit stops that took place because of that, well, it's just been a field day. Everybody taking advantage of this yellow situation. The Corvette battle, you see the two Corvettes, they go by right there. That is first and second GTS. So by Ron Fallows, as they said earlier, hanging on, it paid off. They are right back in the thick of things. Jan Magnussen is now back in that number 50 Panos. James Weaver, he's up there too. So no, this is not a slam dunk for Audi at all.
Battle for second right here among the prototypes. Dindo Capello is in the one car, and he is your race leader. But his teammate, the two car, Frank Biela, they've been on pit road. We'll show you that in just a moment. Here's the battle for second among the prototypes, trying to come through the field. James Weaver in the 16 is being shown in second spot right now for Rob Dyson. And a pit stop, a penalty for the one car, we're being told.
Well, the gods of competition are smiling today. The number one Audi, we've just been informed, they will have to make a pit stop, a penalty pit stop. So this, look at him, he's holding up his hands going, hey, what's wrong? What do I have to do? He can't believe the luck. They had this race locked up, sewn away, sent off to the bank. And suddenly, it is all falling apart.
So Capello all alone out in front. He's 15 seconds to the good right now. When the green came out, Capello was alone at the head of the field. A lot of GT slower machines were between he and the rest of the prototypes fighting for second. So Capello will have to bring this car on pit road.
Major mistake by this team, and probably by this driver. I would imagine he got under gas way too early. And look, we're going to find out and bring that to you as quickly as possible. But by the time he comes into pit lane, now you're going to see we're on board right here. Let's see if he peels off. He should stay left. He is not. He is continuing around.
Now, would they penalize him additionally for not coming immediately in?
They won't penalize him immediately. They will give him like a lap of grace, so to speak. But if he does not follow, eventually the scoring will stop on this car.
This is to their advantage because the slower cars holding up the rest of the prototypes. This allows Capello to pull away even further.
And maybe that's why he's doing it. That's the one thing in his favor, that perhaps he's doing a very smart thing right now. Take advantage of that clear track. He can go as hard as he wants. He doesn't have to cut and dice and slice through the opposition. Meanwhile, back, look at the Panos. You just see the red Panos is stuck in there. There's the white Dyson car has hit somebody. Dyson got really sideways in the background there.
Which Leitzinger in the 16 car.
One of the difficulties trying to come through this field, this is like traffic on Highway 95, and only the drivers here are obviously good. But it still is a nightmare trying to get through slower traffic.
Butch Leitzinger was in the 16 car in the middle portion of the race. Now James Weaver is back in that machine. And Weaver had been up to second, but Jan Magnussen got by in the 50 car. So one of the Panos is up in second spot now.
At times like this, it is so frustrating to be a driver because you want desperately to get by the slower cars. You really have to exercise tremendous patience and just pick and choose. It's so tempting. Sometimes you see an opening, you want to stick the nose of the car in there, but frequently what happens is that other driver is so busy himself watching traffic, he comes down and cuts you off.
Here is the penalty pit stop. Calvin Fish.
Well, Dindo Capello brought it in, barely brought it to a stop, stalled it slightly and he's back underway, but we believe that the penalty is for when the pace car initially went out. Dindo flew by the pace car, had to slow way down, let the pace car back by, so I don't think it was on the restart, Bill. I think it was for the initial infraction when they first went yellow.
And I think that's a good call, too. We did see it while it was taking place. The pace car, the passenger in the pace car, had his hand out the window. Again, boy, that Pano just slicing up there. The passenger had his hand out the window, waving traffic by until he got to Capello. Held his hand solid. Capello went by him and went a long way by him before he realized he'd made a huge error. He did resume behind the pace car, but that's too late.
Now we've got less than an hour of racing to go. Magnussen driving the 50. The penalty to the one car has put Magnussen into the lead through the kink and into the S's on the backside of the race course here at Mid-Ohio.
This is incredible. These guys, Jan Magnussen, David Brabham, they are having so much fun by having brought this old car out. We're joking earlier saying, well, if they're doing this well with a year-old car, what about if they bring out the 2-year-old coupe? Are they really going to dominate?
Now Capello with that stop-and-go penalty. Look at all the traffic he's got to navigate here, Bill Adam, to get back up and challenge the 50 car.
And let's see how cool he is trying to get through some of this traffic. This is the most dangerous part for a driver, is when you get frustrated by a penalty like this, you realize that it was your fault, and now you try and make up for it. It is just terribly dangerous. Right behind, that's a Cadillac, I believe, right in front. And one of the advantages that Panos has at a time like this is the immediate response of the big V8 motor. Now the Audis are extremely exotic twin-turbo V8s, but they don't have that torque, they don't have the immediate response of the V8. So Panos in situations like this does have an advantage.
Here comes the one car, still a lot of traffic to get through, heading to the keyhole. The two Corvettes battling for GTS honors. There's the 3. 11th overall, Johnny O'Connell driving that machine. Second in GTS to teammate Kelly Collins now steering the 4. The 4 car is the car at the head of this pack. Here comes the 1. Capello is in 3rd spot behind James Weaver, and your overall leader is Magnuson. We'll show you the top 5, and we'll be back. More of the American Le Mans Series on NBC Sports in a moment. Our NBC Sports coverage of the American Le Mans Series Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio is being brought to you today by BMW. Find yours at bmwusa.com.
NFL 2001 is here, and this year Sports Illustrated and NFL Films want you to grab on to the ultimate NFL package. 3 great gifts: the official NFL Films highlight video of your favorite team, plus a collectible NFL team logo football, both free with your paid subscription. When you use your credit card, you'll also get this fleece stadium blanket free. With your official NFL team highlight video, you'll see who'll have all the fun in 2001. Call now and you'll also get this team logo football. Pick a team, any team. The choice is yours. Both are free when you order 54 issues of Sports Illustrated for only $1.48 an issue. Save over 50% off the cover price. When you use your credit card, you'll also get this fleece stadium blanket embroidered with the Sports Illustrated logo free. It's the ultimate NFL package, free from Sports Illustrated and nowhere else. Get into it.
The drama of NASCAR is on TNT.
This weekend, NASCAR heads to Tennessee for a run at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Rusty Wallace goes for his 3rd win in 2 years at the world's fastest half mile. Tonight, catch the Winston Cup drivers in the Sharpie 500 at 7. See the race for the championship on TNT and NBC.
Welcome back to Mid-Ohio. Coming up tomorrow at 2 Eastern, the WNBA playoffs continue here on NBC. Pivotal Game 2 between the Sting and the Liberty, the Eastern Conference Finals. Can Teresa Witherspoon lead the Liberty back to the WNBA Championship Series for the 4th time in 5 years? Or will Dawn Staley and our hometown Charlotte Sting force a 3rd and deciding game? The Sting and the Liberty, Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals tomorrow at 2 Eastern, right here on NBC. And we've got problems. We watched Boris Said have trouble earlier launching the Milner BMW, the 6 car, off of pit road. He has stopped on the race course. Boris out to maybe he's going to change the tire. He's thrown the trunk up, Bill.
It certainly
maybe he's looking
like
for the spare or the picnic basket. We're not sure which.
Yeah, I think that's going to bring another pace car out, unfortunately. What a dangerous place to stop.
Boris Said out of the race car. We thought perhaps they had a clutch problem in that car. He's back there checking something. Now, earlier this week, Hans Stuck, Boris's teammate, got stuck in the gravel trap on Thursday during practice here. Same area.
Yeah.
He had to go and get the shovel to dig himself out. Now, Stuckey is a full-service driver.
He is. You always said he could shovel it, and there is the Hans device.
We understand that the 6 car now has lost fuel pressure, and that is why Boris has stopped. And that's why he put the trunk lid up. That's where the fuel cell is located. And the fuel pump, I guess, on that car.
And the one thing that strikes me, why not coast to the inside of the corner, Boris? I mean, that's a dumb place to stop.
Unless there was just no choice.
if the fuel pressure goes, coming over the crest of that hill, he's got to be running 80 miles an hour, even if he's coasting.
So he would have had to put the brakes on to stop.
He would have had to put the brakes on to stop. And well, boy, oh boy, let the car roll. Let it get out of there.
No indication yet as to whether there'll be a full course caution, but considering where the 6th car is, chances are we will see a full course yellow. Watching the flag stand here. Meantime, Jan Magnussen in the 50 continues to lead. Martin Heyman standing by with his co-driver.
That's right, David Brabham out of the car early in the after the series of pit stops after 2 stints. David, the Panos was a little bit of a handful at the beginning, it seemed, but you stuck with the same tyres. Did it come back to you?
Yeah, it did. It seemed like at the beginning of the race I was really struggling a little bit, and I just had to try and keep a good pace. I knew our tyres would come in later, but they certainly did. Towards the end of the stint, they were starting to pick up a good bit of grip, and then I decided to stay on those tyres and went out, and the grip level was really good again. It was even better than it was at the beginning of the race. So it's been very up and down, and our tyre engineer, it very much related to when the cloud came. When the track actually cooled, we actually went quicker as well. So it's very critical at the moment.
You're good to go on. You're good to go on fuel, though.
We're a little close. We're a little close. It's going to be a great finish.
Little close with Brabham. Little close with Christensen too, perhaps. Calvin Fish has more.
Well, Tom's down here. Great opening stint, by the way, and then Dindo got in the car, and things have started to go a little awry for you.
Yeah, obviously we were all the time we gained on the circuit, first by the speed, but also by the Michelin being so good, we didn't have to change them at the first stint. All that we lost because of the yellows came. And
did you see it, Tom? Did you see it on the screen? What do you think about the penalty with Dindo passing the pace car initially?
We know we can't pass a pace car, but I think also they should look how close he was to the panels in front. And then he didn't see it, and he slowed down right after he passed it. So it's very hard, but I really don't want to comment more than that. But it makes an interesting race, that's for sure.
How about the fuel? You got to be tight.
You think so? Yeah, we will be tight. But now there's I just hear now there's a yellow again, and we will be right behind the Panas and the white Dyson car. So it will be on the track, so we'll have to pass, and it's tough here. We'll see.
Okay, they're keeping the cards close to the chest, guys.
They sure are, as we watch the leaders now work down the backside of the racetrack. Boris said still out there trying to see if he can make repairs to the Milner BMW, the 6th car, get it refired, get it around. But it looks as though one of the wreckers has come there to help him out. Now, it's been a challenging weekend. This is the first time ALMS has come to Mid-Ohio. Our own Calvin Fish does a little instructing here and helps some of the drivers. One of the first things an aspiring race car driver has to learn is the correct way and the quick way around a given course. Our own Calvin Fish is the lead instructor here at the Mid-Ohio Driving School.
And then you're going to run out a little wider than you really think you should. Okay, because if you're looking ahead, you'd be setting up for that left-hander, and it really doesn't gain you much by doing that. So use up a fair amount of the road coming out of this corner, and then you'll still be cornering loads. You'll be on the gas pretty hard then coming up into here. And again, you can brake pretty late and give it at least like a half a car width on the inside and then tighten down to the apex through this corner.
Calvin taking a busload of drivers around to show them the quick way around Mid-Ohio.
I noticed his very stylish hat change there. First of all, he had the wing down on the back and then the wing up on the front. So
he had his rally cap on, no doubt about it. We'll take a look at the category leaders of the Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio here as the crowd enjoys things, getting down to business. We'll have more on NBC in a moment.
Back on track, our number 7 BMW is now leading the GT category. So Boris and
How can you keep track of the latest in sports car racing? Monthly with Le Mans and Sports Car Racer magazine. New from the publishers of F1 Racing and Autosport. Call 1-800-800-3921 to subscribe. It's the fastest way to keep track. Insightful columns, exclusive interviews, dazzling photography. Every month in Le Mans and Sports Car Racer magazine. New from the publishers of F1 Racing and Autosport. Call 1-800-800-3921 to subscribe. It's the fastest way to keep track.
Welcome back to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Now the American Le Mans Series with 3 weekends of racing still to come. The Monterey Sports Car Championships here on NBC in 2 weeks from tomorrow from Laguna Seca. Look forward to that one. The Audi Petite Le Mans Road Atlanta, Brazelton, Georgia. That's October 6th. And then the Le Mans Race of Champions at the Sepang Circuit in Malaysia and November 11th. And many of the ALMS teams will be journeying there. Some of the European teams will join as well. That ought to be a great event. That's what's left this year for the American Le Mans Series. Championships to be decided over the next couple of weekends of racing.
It's great. I mean, what a luxury we've had in having 3 races right in a row here.
Yeah.
This is just too good to see these guys just battling back and forth. It has been nothing short of spectacular.
Great day for racing here in the central part of Ohio. We're about midway between Columbus and Cleveland. If you've never been to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, we're in the town of Lexington, a farming community. Beautiful place to come for the races. And the fans here, this track is now in its 40th year. So there's a tremendous amount of history here. The fans in this area are very knowledgeable, and they have turned out in big numbers today.
Yeah, the only difficulty with the track being midway between both cities is that each city is about an hour away.
That's true. That's true. It does make things interesting in terms of travel and where to stay and so forth. Well, one of the things we're watching as this race gets toward its conclusion, as we watch one of the Milner cars, I believe that might be Boris Said, getting that 6 car back in on pit road. Calvin Fish, the issue of tires perhaps for the Panos team.
Well, we've discussed already the different compounds available from Michelin, and the Panos team are on a slightly softer compound. It should give you more grip, but sometimes when you're running too soft, the tire will go away. But we saw David Brabham do a double stint. Jan is on fresh tires, and he should have the upper hand on Capello once he fights his way through the traffic. But a lot to think about here. Fuel strategy, tire conservation, and also that Panos is going to be awfully tough to pass around this very tight racetrack. Let's get it down to Martin further down pit lane.
Butch Leitzinger, the Dyson team back in the American Le Mans Series, having won the championship with Elliott Forbes Robinson, who's here this weekend in '99, the inaugural year. This car is new to you, it's new to Mid-Ohio, you've done precious little testing. I guess at the moment things are crossed, you're in 3rd place.
Well, you know, it shows what the teamwork and the way the strategy the team's laid out has paid off, because the car's good, but it's not nearly the setup we'd like to have on it. It's been a struggle. You know, both James and myself have been working our tails off trying to get around here. But the way that Pat Smith and the crew have made the pit stops and called the strategy, it's really been working in our favor.
Tell us about tires and fuel. How's it been going for you guys?
Well, we're good on tires to the finish. We just made a stop with about an hour to go, so we should be no problems on tires. Tire wear has been very good also, and fuel is going to be close. This yellow is helping out a lot, so if and I'm sure James is coasting everywhere he can to try to save every drop of fuel.
Any chance you might have to come in the closing stages, or are you going to try and catch the end of this yellow and top up?
Well, there's always a chance that we might have to come in, but we're going to run it till it goes dry.
A gambler. I love a gambler, guys.
Let's head to Vegas, boys.
He showed he liked to gamble by that outside pass at Motorsports turn 2, and he's good at it.
It didn't pay for him there, but it looked like it might for a while. Well, here's how they'll line up for the restart. Jan Magnussen will have the pole in the Panos, the number 50. Weaver in the 16, the Dyson car there, the white machine with Thetford and Norcold on it. They'll line up in 2nd spot ahead of the 1 with Dindo Capello, and then the 2 of Frank Biela. And we're showing that the 2 car is 1 lap down. So the 3 leaders on the lead lap at the moment. Everyone else at least 1 lap down to the field. And Bill, we're getting down to it, about a half an hour of racing yet to come here.
It is going to be so good. I mean, how dramatically different you get between the Panos and the Audi. The Audi being a twin-turbo V8, the Panos a big 6-liter Ford front-engine car. Just perfect.
Well, Calvin Fish, as we get set to watch this final half hour of action, tell us about the strategy the teams are going to employ here.
Well, I think it's going to be an outright race to the checkered flag now, Rick. I just spoke to Team Yost. They believe they are now okay on fuel. This lengthy caution period has brought them back in their window. They're good to go. We believe Panos is too. They stopped after Yost. Dyson is the question mark.
Getting ready, coming around the final couple of corners. Safety car is in about 30 minutes. Should be about 22 laps of racing to go. Green flag in the air. Magnussen takes him down into turn 1. Here comes Biela.
And I'd be hard-pressed to ask for anybody better in the car at this point than Jan Magnussen. That he is driving this car so well right now. We watched him all last week, and even today we watch in car. he continues to drive the car so gently. It was funny that I was talking to one of the Pano's crew members earlier today, saying how beautiful he is to watch. He is just wonderful, shifting the car very softly. He said, you wouldn't believe it, he is so relaxed in the car. And he said something about one of their team members accidentally thought Dave BRABHAM was still in the car and made a reference to Davey. And he said, Jan came back on the radio in the middle of this quick lap saying, no, Davey is the hot, sweaty one beside you. So he is very fast and very relaxed. And that's one of the keys, that he is able to manage his tires, manage his fuel, and still go really quickly.
Now the one car, Capello. Christensen started that machine. If you remember, they were on the pole today, and at the drop of the green, that car just took off. No one could run with that machine. Here, though, Capello's got his work cut out for him. He hasn't been able to get by the Dyson car.
No, it's very difficult right now. I mean, James Weaver is an extremely fast driver, and again, the Dyson car has the big block Ford motor, Lincoln motor. So the car comes off the corners very well, and even though it may not go through the turns quite as fast as the Audi, it might not be quite as good in the transitions. Those are areas that the Audi can't pass in anyway, so he doesn't have to worry.
Checking the telemetry in the one car.
Now, he got a good run off that turn number one. I think James needs to keep up the inside just to block that passing lane. Nope, not close enough, can't try it.
Weaver, meantime, may be held up by the other Panos. I believe that's Lagorce in the 51 right in front of him.
Yeah, hard to tell right now. We're going to see. You see, once again, both of those, the Panos and the Riley and Scott up ahead, they tend to pull away coming off the corner. They have such immediate throttle response. They're very good. Down here, watch how the Audi gets back in easily within a car like this car. The Audi is just so good under braking, particularly as they're being turned at the same time. Very effective.
Tough part of the racetrack here, and that is the 51 car, 5th overall.
And here, let me point out maybe something else that might be coming into play here. Let's just suppose that Lagorce has been given an order by the team. Well, you might want to slow down a second a lap or so. That's a possibility.
Weaver, meantime, would love to get by and put that lapped car between he and the one.
And Lagorce would like to stretch the lead between his teammate and the Audi.
Bila and Capello, 3rd and 4th. Magnussen is your leader as the clock starts to tick away here at Mid-Ohio. More from Mid-Ohio on NBC Sports after this.
Now this same feeling is available in a car.
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Introducing the all-new Mazda Protege 5.
Yeah, zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Same feeling.
Zoom, zoom.
New form.
Yeah, zoom, zoom, zoom. Yeah, zoom, zoom, zoom. Yeah, zoom.
What is it about Le Mans that has made men love it for over 50 years? Maybe it's the big, beautiful eyes or the sexy voice that it speaks in. It could be all those incredible bodies. Of course, there are other attractions. Find out for yourself as the Audi Petit Le Mans comes to Road Atlanta, October 3rd through the 6th. Call 1-800-849-RACE.
You're gonna be crammed into this thing that is shaped like a bullet, and you're gonna fly down this twisting tunnel of ice. You're gonna be bruised, frostbitten, and if you flip over, your head is gonna get skinned right down to the skull. What do you say?
The Winter Olympics from Salt Lake City on the networks of NBC.
Tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern, see the world's greatest outdoor adventurers putting their bodies to the ultimate test at the Subaru Gorge Games. Among the many grueling and dangerous events, athletes will face off against each other and nature. Extreme kayaking, rock climbing, and windsurfing. The Subaru Gorge Games tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern, right here on NBC. Hope you can be with us. The battle, meantime, up in front, raging here.
Wow, it is just getting better and better all the time. Capello had just a fraction of an opening right there. Tried to go for it. Weaver, using all of his talent, went as deep into the keyhole as he could possibly go. I thought that maybe Capello was going to get him there. It was, oh man, you couldn't have put a knife between the cars. That was so good.
Just as strong as the Dyson entry was last week at Mosport. They have a terrific run going here. James Weaver, Butch Leitzinger, Weaver the starter back in the car for the final stint here.
And again, with them being stuck behind Lagorce's car right now, they're not stuck very much. They're still running pretty quick laps. But it is 6 seconds now between the leader and second place. Second place being the white car behind the Panos.
Because you do have some lap traffic situation. It's 50, 16, and 1, the top three, as we show you the standings.
Here we go again.
Top of the screen.
This is exactly what he tried last time, Rick. He's going to try going up the inside, very deep. He's got him this time. Clean pass.
Boy, it took him a lot of laps to do it, though.
Oh, just perfect.
So Capello takes over second, but now he's got to get around Lagorce and the other Panos. And that will not be easy to do.
No, it won't. The Panos comes off the corners so strong, and that's really the easiest place to get by somebody. If you get momentum coming off the corner, anytime you want to go by somebody under braking, there's always a certain risk that they may lose it, make a mistake, whatever.
Let's check in on the GTS battle for supremacy. The two Corvettes are where we've seen them so many times this year at the top of the charts. The 4 car, though, with Kelly Collins is the leader by just a couple of car lengths over the 3. Johnny O'Connell taking over from Ron Fellows. They are sitting 10th and 11th overall, and they've got a lap, Calvin Fish on Terry Borcheller. Here comes Johnny O to the inside for the lead in GTS, and he's got it.
Well, they're certainly having a lot of fun out there, Rick, and there's no holds barred out there between the Corvette boys. They made the changes during that pit stop to the sway bars on the number 3 car. Johnny reported in the car is much better balanced than I expect Ron was dealing with. Ron came over and said, it looks like it's going to be a fun one out there this afternoon. I'm pleased I can just stand by and watch.
He's in the most enviable position of any of the GM drivers at this point. That's safe to say.
That's one tonight they'll probably sit down and have a cold glass of milk together and say, well, oh, you had such a good time out there. The car worked for you, and I had to battle, and you owe it all to me.
The Saleen team had such high hopes coming in. They were on the pole. Franz Conrad started the car. Terry Borcheller with him. They just couldn't hang on. They had problems, wheel problems earlier, and it cost them the lead, and the Corvettes are out in front. Meantime, the battle up in front, the 2-car, Frank Biela, a lap down to the leader. That's Magnussen up in front at the 50 in the red Panos.
Now, if I'm team manager, I tell the number 50 car, I tell the team manager for the 50 car, tell your driver to go as fast as he can, safely, don't take any chances, but make that car wide.
Yeah. I thought James Weaver was making the Dyson car pretty wide when he was in the middle of that battle running second a moment ago.
He did. I mean, it's still a position for Weaver. Capello was in second place, Weaver now back in third. So that wasn't just the case of being in a position of a lapped car. That was bragging rights. Do you finish second on the podium or do you finish third?
Now, if you're wondering why the 2-car is so far behind at this point, a lap down, they had a lengthy pit stop right before the last caution. They were on pit road for a long time. They had to take the engine cover off and change a part. We'll show you that in a couple of moments, hopefully. Meantime, on board with Capello, second overall, but he's 10 seconds behind Magnussen. And Bill, looking at the times, Magnussen's knocking off quicker laps right now in the Panos.
He is. Right now, Magnussen is running 1/16s pretty consistently. Biela has been running 1/16s, but he is way back, and Capello is running 1/17s. Now, part of the 17 is, of course, he's stuck behind these cars, but Lagorce is driving a very good race.
Magnussen in the 50. He and David Brabham ended that long win streak by Audi at Portland several weeks ago. Last week at Mosport in the rain, the Panos has had problems. Magnussen and Brabham led a lot of the race, but once things dried out, the number 2 Audi took over and dominated to the end at Mosport. This week, a different story here, as the Panoses have had the pit stop and caution situation really play into their hands.
They have. I mean, last week, I think they actually got hurt by pace cars. We watched Jan Magnussen at the start of the race. He literally ran off and hid, and at one point he had 15 seconds over second place and 30 seconds over third place before the pace car came out, took away that giant lead. So this is still a tremendously fast race car. They took the car that had been sitting and did really minimal revisions to it. They said, yeah, they changed the front suspension a little bit and did this and did that, but essentially that still is their old car. It's a huge crowd favorite.
So the Panos of Magnussen, things have fallen to them, at least at this point, coming up on about 20 minutes of racing left. The number 2 Audi is not on the lead lap. Frank Biela has that car in 4th spot. Your leader is Jan Magnussen. We jump on board one of the BMWs. Your top 5 looks like this. More of the Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio on NBC in a moment.
I remember 20 years ago, Audi turned the racing world upside down. First by introducing a race car with quattro all-wheel drive, and second by having a woman drive it.
Chateau Elan Hotels and Resorts, the subtle difference of excellence.
2 years ago, the USA staged the biggest comeback in Ryder Cup history to win back the Cup. Now, Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, David Duval, Davis Love, and more are on a mission to defend the Ryder Cup. Golf's ultimate challenge, the Ryder Cup, this September on NBC.
Back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, the American Le Mans Series on NBC Sports with Bill Adam. I'm Rick Benjamin. Calvin Fish, Martin Haven on pit road. A terrific battle up front shaping up for the final few moments of action here this afternoon. We're glad to have you along. On board with one of the Audis, working through some of the slower traffic. That's one of the GTS Vipers there. You're riding with Dindo Capello. Here's the leader, Jan Magnussen. Frank Biela right behind him in the 2 car, but not on the same lap. That team had a lengthy pit stop a little while ago because they had to change an engine part. They had to take the engine cover off, and it cost them a lap on pit road. Here's the car running second. Capello 10.2 seconds behind Bill Adam, and he's not gaining any ground on board one of the GT machines meantime.
He is, and I think this is something where Capello right now has got to start taking chances. He can no longer play a passive game. He's got to be risky.
Now we want to talk for a moment about the GT battle. The 2 Schnitzer factory BMW machines, 14th and 15th overall. You're on board with Dirk Mueller, and he's a little bit behind his teammate Jorg Mueller. Let's get an update on the BMW situation from pit road.
Well, I just saw Dirk Mueller go into turn 1 right behind his teammate and put the brakes on remarkably early. I went up to Charlie Lamb. I said, the boy's going to race. He said, no, we're running for the championship. Jorg is currently leading. There'll be team orders here unless something unforeseen happens. So we expect those guys to run in tandem, hopefully to the checkered flag.
Mueller in the 43, giving you a look. This is Dirk Mueller, second in class.
These are such beautiful little cars. I mean, you look at the M3s on the street, it's everybody's dream machine. They're gorgeous, but this is just like the ultimate M3 because of this little V8 race motor in it.
And you can help me get the V8 option in mine, right, Bill?
I don't think so. I think it may be an option that you and I can't afford.
Probably so. Mueller doing a great job driving this machine.
Just gorgeous. You know, it's so disappointing, too, for the PTG team. I know Tom Miller and all his guys really had hoped to have a good run this weekend. We had talked back at Mosport again about bragging rights, that both the European and the American team, Tom Milner, they like to win. It's always good to take what is a virtually identical car and beat the competition, but also beat the other guys who are running it too. You want to prove that you've got the best team, and Milner's got to be a bit disappointed about today.
19 minutes to go, the GT battle. Here's your class leader in the 42 car. This is Jorg Mueller. He's finished 5th or better in 6 of his 7 starts this season. At the top of the broadcast, we pointed out just how tight the points battle is in GT among these drivers and teams. There's the gap between 1st and 2nd in the class right now, with time starting to run out here. Martin Haven, the Porsche group, Alex Jobe's team, they certainly had high hopes before the drop of the green flag here today. It just hasn't quite worked out for them, has it?
Well, that's right. It's the pace car, unfortunately, that's caught them out. They were battling hard with the 2 Schnitzer BMWs. And in fact, the 2 Alex Jobe Racing Porsches were the last 2 cars to come onto pit road for their fuel. And they got out onto track back ahead of the BMWs. The only problem is they were right behind the leader. And when the safety car came out for the first time today, they went the best part of a lap down as the Schnitzer cars went all the way round and caught onto the back of the train, just half a dozen cars behind the Porsches. So although the Porsches can match the BMWs on pace to the flag, they're the best part of a lap down, and nothing really is going to help them there unless they get another fluky safety car that flip-flops it back in their favor.
Boy, I think, Alex, I think maybe you should find a new church next week because you've done everything else right.
You're on board with Lucas Luhr in the 23 car, sitting 3rd in GT behind the 2 Schnitzer BMWs. His teammate Randy Popes is next in line in the 22. Luhr, though, with a long way to go to catch up to the 2 Beamers at this point.
Yeah, the McKenna Porsches really have looked good this week. This has been such a strong performance for them, and I think it's got to give a little bit of concern to all of the BMW teams that suddenly they are catching up.
Up in front, your leader is Jan Magnussen. We're riding with Magnussen in the 50 as he flicks through the gears and comes to the front straightaway. All alone at the moment, the lead about 10.5 seconds. Magnuson, but take a look here, up over the curb and out of the grass a moment ago.
Boy, oh boy. That is 6 inches away from disaster right there. He may have just stolen a look in his mirror. Look at that Audi behind him. It's chewed up a little bit of that corner, but I don't think it's going to do any damage. Now, last week when we watched Frank Lagorce go off track and you saw him nose into the tire wall there, the main damage that happened that kept them from being back in the race from then on was that whole front tray, the splitter, was pushed back into the chassis. That came very close to doing the same thing right there, so Jan got away with one.
And we're starting to hear the Dindo Capello on the radio saying, hey, I'm being blocked out here.
That's baloney. I don't believe you, Dindo. Lagorce is trying as hard as he can, and he is...
it's frustrating.
It is frustrating. Yeah, I know. Dindo would love to get around, but I think that's the difficulty. Remember back to Sears Point, we watched Andy Wallace go through a long, frustrating series that the Panos has come off the corners so well. They're very strong off corners. He couldn't get by at Sears Point. He can't get by right here.
On board with Capello, up in front of him, Lagorce not on the same lap. We will be back in a moment with plenty more of the American Le Mans Series Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio after these words from our local stations as we show you who's leading the categories here.
Premiering NBC Sundays, a new breed of undercover agents to give you your action fix.
I don't need you to protect me.
Fellow agent! From the producers of Pulp Fiction and the writer of Armageddon, you see Undercover, coming to NBC Sundays.
About 10 laps to go at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, the Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio, here on NBC Sports with Bill Adam, Irick Benjamin, Calvin Fish, Martin Haven on pit road. Watching an upset in the making. The Panos is leading here at Mid-Ohio. Some favorable developments during pit stops, cautions, full course cautions with safety cars, and a mechanical problem for the 2-car, Bill. That's what shuffled the lineup in the running order.
It's shocking. We have seen cracks forming in the arbor of the Audi team over the past couple of weeks. It's really amazing. I mean, from Christensen's error at Mosport, Panos flashing lights there just trying to tell, yeah, it's a Barber car.
It's Bruno Lambert on the 5. They're leading the 675 prototypes at 9th overall, and he gives ground and allows Magnuson to blow by.
They have run perfectly today. Yeah. Again, this car looks beautiful. It's prepared just flawlessly. What a well-run team.
It's the Reynard with the 3.5-liter Judd. Strong combination. As we show you the overall standings, top of your screen, 12 minutes to go.
I think one of the reasons that Didier Radiguez is so good in this car is that he used to be a motorcycle racer.
Yeah.
And the abilities that he picked up, the habits that he picked up from being a bike racer, where they require such great precision, I think that shows in his driving that he's very reminiscent in many ways of Alan McNeish. Yeah. We watched Alan last year. He was a master. He was so good going over the same piece of track lap after lap.
Jan Magnuson, your overall leader. We saw the Panos there momentarily. Back on board in the number 1.
Yeah, look at the gap rep.
Yeah, it's 14 seconds last time by. Take a look. Here's the Corvette just in front of the 1 car. And he comes down on maybe a little contact there, Bill.
There was contact with the left front fender of the Audi. Now here's a different view of it. You see, he's trying to do anything he can at this point just to squeeze up, but that was a move he should not have tried. I mean, not a prayer making that.
Capello, I'm sure, feeling some desperation starting to build as the clock winds down. 10 minutes to go.
And I think the frustration of the whole team is being shown as they're complaining about Frank Lagorce's blocking. I mean, it's your point of view. If you're on the Panos team, hey, you're doing nothing wrong. And if you're Frank Lagorce, you're driving as hard as you can. I mean, he's still running. Well, right now, let's see, what was his last lap? A 1:17, so he is only a second off the pace. In fact, he's running the same as what Magnuson is running right now. Nobody is quicker on this track than Frank Lagorce.
And Lagorce is 5th. He's getting pressure from Johnny Herbert for that spot. He's only a lap down.
Yep.
As we watch Magnuson, your leader, things have fallen into the hands of the Panos group here, no doubt about it. The Audi's very strong. They qualified 1st and 3rd this weekend. That went quick right off the get-go. We saw the Panos get passed at the drop of the green.
In the long-distance races, you can never give up. I think this is part of the appeal. Now, we'll take a look just to see what the interval is. Just watch as he crosses the start-finish line. Now, there's our leader right there. And we're going to watch back to see where 2nd place is. And you can see they're just coming around the loop right there. There is Lagorce, and there is the Audi.
It's a long gap.
That's a very long gap.
Now, Capello cut about a second off it last lap, though. He is down to 13.1 seconds behind, but a lot of that fluctuation depends on traffic.
It does, yes. Both of these, in fact, all of the cars on the track right now are still going through a lot of traffic. See them flashing headlights there, trying to tell people to just move over, do whatever, distract your competition.
Just like you do on I-80 at night, flash the high beam.
All the time. I do in the daytime, too. I do it in my rental car. That's where I practice.
Well, you being a native of Canada where the running lights came into vogue, you have to do that.
That's true. One more time to get the telemetry. I'd love to have the telemetry at home on my television, just a permanent fixture so I could watch all this.
Into the right-hander at the end of the S's.
You hear the wheel spin as the car comes up over the crest of the hill. And this crest, too, you can sometimes get wheel spin here if you just a little too early on the throttle. And as soon as you get wheel spin, instantly pitch sideways.
The 675 prototypes next in line. Capello will have to go around him on the high side.
You know, yeah, you see right there now, the 675 goes through the corners as well as any of the cars. In fact, better than some of the 900s. He was actually able to pull away a car like. It's only the acceleration of the Audi off the turn where he wants to take it. So that,
and he's still there.
Yeah. I mean, that's a strong little car. That's the car that Calvin did the piece on with that Judd V8 motor, about 500 horsepower. It's lighter than the 900 cars. So, and there's Johnny Herbert just nipping at the heels.
Herbert is 6th. Lagorce in the 51 is 5th. Bila in the 2 sits 4th. Weaver, Capello is 2nd. But he has 12.3 seconds. Now, Capello did shave 8/10 off the lead of Jan Magnussen last time around with about 8 minutes of racing to go. The Audi team is concerned. More of the American Law Series on NBC Sports after this.
The Pay-Nose Racing School at Road Atlanta, Sebring, and coming to Texas Motor Speedway. 1-888-282-GTRA.
With a fantastic late comeback, the Liberties stole one on the road to grab the series lead. Now it's do or die for the Sting. The WNBA playoffs Sunday, 2 Eastern, NBC.
For Bobby Jones, Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, and Tiger Woods, it was a springboard to fame. Who will follow? The U.S. Amateur Championship next on NBC.
Back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course here on NBC, the American Le Mans Series. And an upset in the making. The Pay-Nose team bidding for their second win of the season. Jan Magnussen and David Brabham ended that year-long win string by Audi several weeks back at Portland. Last week, it was Audi back in victory lane with the 2-car, Bila and Pirro. Today, though, it's Magnussen and Brabham in command, Bill, because things just came their way in the middle portion of the race.
Amazing, and I wonder how many team managers are sitting out there right now thinking, I could probably have bought these Pay-Noses as Don parked them thinking they were old, used-up race cars. And, well, hindsight being 2020, they're old race cars, but by gee, they're good ones.
Magnussen calmly flicking up through the gearbox on the backstretch. Here's the second place. Johnny Herbert got by Capello.
Yeah, you see Johnny Herbert. That's the champion car right ahead. So Capello, I thought that car was starting to get a little bit loose watching him come off the corners.
One car has gone around the Dyson machine. Is off the racetrack. James Weaver has stopped up on the top of the keyhole. He backs it back up onto the surface, gets it refired.
Good job, James.
Weaver was third. That will cost him considerable ground and track position. Maybe not the spot, though. We'll find out next time by. But Weaver trying to shake the gravel out of the car and clean the tires off as he speeds up down the backstretch.
Well, I wonder if he's got a button on the steering wheel saying gravel deposit.
Let's take another look at what happened down to the keyhole. Watch for the white car on the inside.
Oh, my.
A little contact with one of the Audis perhaps there.
And he's very fortunate that he didn't spin off into the gravel trap. He'd have been stuck there for the balance of the race, probably.
Tight quarters down into the keyhole, the right-hand corner, the 180-degree bend. And it's a good thing he did not get stuck in the gravel, had the rear wheels up on the asphalt, which allowed him to back on the surface.
And you know what that would have been? Pace car.
Full course caution.
Very lucky that didn't take place.
If you're a fan of the Panos, certainly that's what you'd want to see at this point, not in a full course caution.
Now, and right now we're showing about a 15-second lead for Jan Magnussen over Capello, so the lead is actually growing. And Weaver is, well, he's 33 seconds back, so.
Weaver did not lose a spot to Vila that time. There is one lap between the three leaders, the 50, the 1, and the 16 on the lead lap. Here's Magnussen out in front enjoying that 15-second advantage. Here's your driver in car number 1, Capello.
You know, we didn't get a chance to actually see it, but I wonder if Weaver was maybe trying to pass Capello.
Maybe.
That's quite possible at that point.
He was barging through on the inside, going to the keyhole, and that's a dangerous place. You talked to me earlier, Bill, when you've raced here many times. You said, you know, it's very tempting sometimes to come up the inside into that corner.
Yeah, I mean, it just beckons to you because the track is wide at that point. It's flat. It's in very good condition. You get really good braking effort, and sometimes it just calls to you that, come on, try it. In 2 weeks, we will be at Monterey at Laguna Seca for the Monterey Sports Car Championships. And one of the Porsches, one of the Alex Job machines on pit road. Let's go to Calvin Fish.
Well, we believe it's a half-shaft problem, guys. This is really big in the championship. Sasha Massa was leading the championship. He handed over to Lucas Luhr. They're running in the top 5. Mueller leads for BMW, but if they come out of here losing a handful of points here this afternoon, it's going to have a big effect on the championship. And Alex Job is now pulling the plug and telling Lucas to get out of the car.
That's a heartbreak.
Oh, is that ever? They have done such a good job today. I mean, from the moment of coming here and qualifying so well and running a race pace that was very competitive. So, heartbreak.
On board, 3 minutes to go. Should be time for 2 more laps for Jan Magnussen. The lead 14.5 seconds. And it looks as though the Panoses are on their way to their second win of the season.
Now, he just waved to somebody there. I wonder what that was all about.
That looked like the clenched fist out of my way wave.
Once again, just his relaxed manner. I love watching him drive this car. You see the helmet, everything is, all the movements are very fluid. He's shifting the car very softly and gently. His steering wheel action, he shifts with his fingers instead of the whole hand.
Here's your leader down into turn 1. One of the 675 cars is next in line. That's the Roof Night Owl car.
Talking to Jan last week, telling about some F-16 jets down at the local Air Force base in Miami, this Mako squadron. His eyes lit up. He wants to go visit those guys. Like a lot of us, he's fascinated by jet aircraft. 11.9 seconds back. Well, is there going to be a party in Brazelton, Georgia tonight?
If Magnussen can keep it on the racetrack for one more trip around this 2.25 mile layout, it should be the Panos in victory lane.
This is remarkable. What a job by the Panos guys.
Watching some of the prototypes down the backstretch. There's your second place machine.
You know, I like that too. You see Lagores, he is still going after it. Sure. He's not quite prepared to sit back and take a passive position for these last few laps. So he continues to push very hard as well.
White flag will be in the air next time around for Magnussen. 115th trip around the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course this afternoon.
This is such a gorgeous course. You see it, it's almost like driving through a very smooth track. There's the white flag you saw from the right-hand corner of the screen. So one more lap for Jan, and his dream is going to come true.
Now, as bad as this race car was early on, Bill, they were not up to the pace of the Audis at all. The tires started to come in for them midway through the race, and they quickened the car up.
Part of it has to go down to the crew responding to conditions, and it's like Yost. You're constantly consulting with engineers. You're constantly thinking, what can we do to make it better? The drivers, the big job for the drivers to do is not to abuse the equipment, to drive as quickly as they can with what they have, and then to try and make the necessary, the accurate representation of what's taking place in the car. Not to say, oh, the car's got a big push, when in fact it's only a little push.
Yeah.
You have to be very accurate and have this real good relationship with the entire team, and this obviously works. We saw it too with the Corvette. Ron Fellows initially dropping way behind. He hung in there, soldiered through. They made the changes on the car, got the benefit of a couple of pace laps. They came right back to take the lead again after seemingly being totally out of the picture.
Magnuson in the final. Less than a mile now here in Mid-Ohio. Checkered flag will be in the air this time by. Corvette's moving through, and here comes Magnuson. Veteran of Formula One, veteran of kart champ cars.
I wish we had a microphone right now so we could hear what he's saying in his helmet. This would be a good one.
Out of the final corner, under the checkered flag, the Panos to victory lane. Car number 50. That was David Brabham screaming there on the pit wall. Magnuson with his fist in the air, and the Panos team scores an upset victory. They're second in the last 3 tries. Magnuson and Brabham led so much of last week's run at Mosport. And they come back from behind here today. At the beginning of this race, Bill, I wouldn't have given them much for their chances.
What these guys are experiencing right now, this is the best feeling in the world. The camaraderie going through this car here. Now here is Dick Barber's car.
Bruno Lambert at the wheel. Didier de Radigues started the car. Lambert, they spun on the first lap, you'll recall. De Radigues got it pointed in the right direction. They came back up on the racetrack, and the 5 car wins the 675 prototype category. Lambert brings that machine home first.
Trouble-free run for them today.
They are 9th overall. And in GT, as we watch the final trip around, this is the 43 car. Dirk Mueller right behind his teammate Jorg Mueller, first and second in GT.
Oh, I thought he's going to give him a little bump.
Yeah, the Schnitzer cars will finish nose to tail 1-2 in GT. The GTS battle goes to Johnny O'Connell and Ron Fellows in car number 3. They pass their teammate car, Kelly Collins, Andy Pilgrim. Close to the end here today. So your category winners, Magnuson in the 50, Lambert in the 5, O'Connell in the 3 in GTS, and the 42 car with Jorg Mueller in GT. So a great afternoon of competition here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and certainly a surprise at the top of the leaderboard. The all-conquering Audis sustain their 2nd loss of the season. Jan Magnuson will serve up some donuts here on the front straightaway.
The crowd just loves this part. Oh, even has to go in reverse now. Jan, you need a little practice on the donuts, but other than that, you drove perfectly.
Not on the front stretch either. That was down toward the S's here at Mid-Ohio. As we watch one of the Schnitzer BMWs, the lead car, the winning car today, Jorg Mueller. We showed you at the top of the broadcast how in GT, 6 drivers are within 4 points of one another, so it's a big win for that team. Here is your unofficial top 10 as the checkered flag has waved here in the Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. Magnuson and Brabham the winner, the 1 car second. Weaver and Leitzinger get credit for 3rd, a podium finish for the Riley and Scott chassis. Bela and Pirro finish 4th ahead of Herbert and Wallace in the champion Audi. Lagorce and Graf get credit for 6th. 11 through 20 look like this. Collins and Pilgrim finish 11th. 675s, it's Steve Knight, Claudia Hurtgen. Trey Borcheller and the Celine finishes 13th. And then the GT cars, Mueller and Leto, Dirk Mueller and Ekblad, Menzel and Post. In the final 8 cars in the standings, Graham and Duno did not last very long, unfortunately, in the other Dick Barber machine. But it's been a great afternoon of competition here at Mid-Ohio, and we'll be back to talk to the winners coming up in just a moment. We will be back in a moment to hear from the winners, but first, let's go to New York City on Ahmad Rashad at the Sun America Sports Desk right after these messages. NBC Sports coverage of the American Le Mans Series Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio is brought to you today by Porsche. Discover what only Porsche brings to driving.
The usual, gentlemen?
Well, perhaps for Emmett, but I'll be having tea. Well, I'm the designated driver.
Not so quick, friend. I'll be having the tea, as I'm to be the driver.
Deny yourself if you like, but I'll be a driving.
Boxster. What only a Porsche brings to driving.
I thought dating again would be tough.
He's cute. Is he younger than me?
Maybe getting rid of my gray hair was just what I needed.
Just for men. More than a hair color, it's a hair rejuvenator. Gray hair is shampooed away in 5 easy minutes. Vitamin Enriched Just for Men brings back a thicker, healthier, natural look.
I wonder how I did tonight.
Would you like to come in?
Just for Men, the Rejuvenator.
Welcome back to Mid-Ohio. The Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio into the books, and Jan Magnuson and David Brabham scoring the upset win. Second time in 3 outings that number 50 Panos Roadster has been in victory lane. Capello and Christensen finished second. Let's go to victory lane with Martin Heyman.
We spoke to David Brabham a moment or two ago. Jan Magnussen, you need some more practice with those donuts, but a great win.
Right. No, the clutch was broken, so I couldn't stop and then do the donut, so I had to do it up and over a hill. But even though they may not look good, they're real fun.
Now, David, 2 wins in 3 races. This is something, I guess, early in the year that the Paynos team would have been hard-pressed to imagine. This old bird, though, she's really served you well.
It's unbelievable, the turnaround we've had this year, and I have to say this result is a fantastic team result. I mean, we got the pit stop was fantastic. We got out in front, got Jan the lead, and then he did the rest. And of course, we had a lot of help from Frank Lagos and Klaus Graf. And fantastic effort from Michelin, Sensomatic. It's just been fantastic. Great day by all.
Well, the 675 class won by Bruno Lambert. He's here with Didier de Radiguez. The 2 Belgian drivers looking very happy. But you're saying, although it's an open car, it's hot work in the 675 car, Bruno.
Yeah, this car doesn't have power steering, so with the downforce, you know, it's quite a lot of work. And I ended up driving for, what, like an hour and 45 minutes? And, you know, you feel it in your arms. It's a good workout. You know, I can go on vacation now. I don't have to work out for at least a week.
There you go, Bill Adam. That's the kind of workout you need. None of this playing tennis stuff.
Yeah, I'll take it too anytime, Martin.
Great outing for that pair of drivers in one of Dick Barber's prototype machines, one of the Reynards with that Judd engine. Let's show you our BMW GT category final results here. Mueller and Leto win in the 42 car for the Schnitzer team. Dirk Mueller and Frederick Ekblom come home second. Christian Menzel and Randy Popes take third for the Alex Joe Porsche team in the 22. And then it's the number 10 BMW. One of the other Porsches, the 30 car with Johnny Mollem aboard, they finished 5th. And Lauren Maassen, Bill, they had a disappointing ending to their afternoon. A half-shaft breaks just short of the checkered flag.
And what a heartbreak, too, particularly for the championship point situation. It's just not something you want to see that many points evaporate.
No, not with only a couple of weeks to go. Let's go downstairs to Calvin Fish.
Well, Jörg Mueller took the win today with JJ Leto, and with it the championship lead. You love this place, Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, definitely. It was a fantastic circuit. You know, I really enjoy going on the proper race circuit. I mean, last year we had lots of oval, which don't suit our cars. So I'm really happy to get onto really good road circuits, and that's one of the best at the moment.
The cautions fell your way. It split the leader in between you and the Porsche. You effectively went a lap up, and then team orders. Didn't look like Dirk was really hassling you too bad at the end there.
Yeah, but on the other hand, if you look at the time, they were still quite competitive, because I was at the beginning between the 2 other BMWs, which are also fighting for the championship. So we are still doing competitive times. I think he couldn't have gone by.
BMW on a roll, and so a Corvette. Martin Haven.
Johnny O'Connell, when we spoke to you early in the race, Ron was dropping back. The car had got too loose. The racetrack wasn't coming to you. Looked like it was a tough afternoon, and judging by the state of view, it ended up that way as well.
It really was. It was a lot of hard work. You know, first off, you know, we got to totally tip our hat to everyone at Goodyear. Man, they've stepped up. You know, I always knew that they were the best tire for the street, and now, man, the best tire on the racetrack. These guys are doing an awesome job. K-Tech Engines, Ron had such a miserable race car, and you know, he kept us in the hunt, and you know what, cautions worked our way, but our car might not have been really good in the corners, but it was so good under the brakes, and I really think that's what our strength was. But man, Ron did awesome. The Pratt and Miller guys are the best, and it's an honor to be part of this Corvette deal.
Ron, you did all the donkey work. He owes you big. He's got to start it next time, especially if it's not set up right.
No, I think I think we're going to keep this combination. It seems to be working. I've started and Johnny's finished, and it's worked out real well. That was probably the toughest one I've done. And but the guys did a great job in the pit stop, making a couple of adjustments for Johnny, and then he stepped up. This one's Johnny's. This is also 2 races in a row for this new K-Tech motor, and that helped a lot today.
Well, the car's looking pretty impressive. You just warm it up nicely for him, and he gets to do the hot bit at the end.
Something like that. This is also great for Goodyear. This is their backyard, and we're happy to represent them and have them part of our Corvette team. This was a great victory today for us, and Johnny had to work for it, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, Johnny, tough pass for the lead in the class as well.
It was, but I mean, I was studying him. I spent about 5 or 6 laps behind him. So you know, when you're racing your teammate, you want to make sure it's clean. I knew I had to get a good run through 1 to be close to him through 2, and then I could make the move. But again, you know, our strength was breaking, and so once I got by him, I pushed real hard to get a little bit of gap, and you know, you try to hopefully get in his head a little bit, and then I could back it up a little. And you know, it was bad luck for Celine, because I want to race him, and I wish they'd quit breaking that thing. because I think we can take them in a fight. So sooner or later, they'll get that thing to finish the race. And, this Corvette, man, just runs and runs and runs. It's a good deal.
Well, halfway between Akron and Detroit, you couldn't expect a better place for a Goodyear shot Chevy to win, could you? Rick?
1-2 finish for the Corvettes. 5th time this year that the Corvettes have won in GTS, and they are the dominators in terms of points at this juncture of the season. With 2 points paying races to go, Bill, in 2 weeks we'll be out at Laguna Seca and then the Petit Le Mans in October.
I think that it really bodes well for the future because the Paynos guys came here admitting that this should have been and was an Audi track. They didn't think they were going to do very well here. So for them to get this sort of result, it's such an uplifting thing for the drivers and the crew alike. They now are on a roll. They realize that they were leading in motorsport. They might have won if things had been a little bit different.
Yeah.
And they've won 2 out of 3. Boy, they're going to be hard to beat.
How good will they be at Laguna Seca?
I think very, very strong.
We will find out in 2 weeks. We look forward to being with you on Sunday, September 9th. Be sure to join us on NBC Sports in 2 weeks. Our American Le Mans Series coverage will continue with the Monterey Sports Car Championships presented by Mazda from the famed Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca in Monterey, California. Up next on NBC Sports, our golf coverage continues with the USGA National Championship semifinal match action in the 101st U.S. Amateur Championship from the East Lake Golf Club in Atlanta, Georgia. For Bill Adam, Martin Haven, and Calvin Fish, I'm Rick Benjamin saying so long from Lexington, Ohio, and the Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. Once again, your winners, Jan Magnussen and David Brabham. You've been watching the American Le Mans Series on NBC. We'll see you next time.